Alright, so we got a flat tire here on the old Town and Country. I'm going to show you how to change this using only what's in the van. We're not going to use any external jacks or any other equipment, just what's in the van. Alright, so the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to get the jack and all that kind of stuff. That's going to be behind this panel over here, so we're going to take that out and get this, retrieve this stuff. Alright, so we got a couple little things here we're going to turn. That should make this loose. And pull our stuff out. And let's see what we got. We should have a jack. We got the jack there. There's the handle. And this should be, I think, the thing for lowering our spare down. Yep. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up so I can take the lug nuts and get them loose. I'm not going to take them all the way off, just going to get them loose. And the reason I'm going to do that while the tire is flat is so that way it doesn't spin on me. Alright, so for this rear tire, we're going to get our jack and we're going to put it over here. There are a couple of little tabs up underneath here. I'm going to try to show them to you. Hopefully they come up in the video here. So there's two downward facing tabs. This here is one of them. And then you slide your thumb along and you can feel the other one or see the other one over here. So they're kind of hard to see, but they're pretty easy to feel. So you get in, you want to put that jack in between those two tabs. Again, this is on the colored part of the body. Now there's a arm over here that goes to the tire that you might be tempted to want to jack on. That's not what they're wanting you to jack from. Okay, this is going to be the colored part of the body in between those two tabs, and you're going to put the jack such that in between those two tabs you're going to fit down in between here. So that means your jack is going to be oriented like this, such that your bolt here for the screw jack is facing out, because you're going to need to put this on there to jack it up. So your flat parts here, your hooks here, and that area between the two tabs is going to sit down in there. All right, so we're going to start to raise the jack. At this point, I'm just doing this by hand. As the jack gets close, I'm just going to reach up there and feel, make sure that it's properly located between the two tabs. And our hook's going up underneath there, and then now this part here started to make contact, and my tab is in between the slot right here, so it's going to keep it from going anywhere as I put pressure on it. So now I'm ready to get my tool out and actually start lifting the vehicle. Alright, so at this point I've got my jack in the right spot, and all I want to do is just get a little bit of tension on this. That way I make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Now I'm going to go get the spare out. Now I remember the first time I had to get a spare out on a Town and Country van, and I couldn't figure out where it was at, and they told me to get this stuff and go turn some bolt that was underneath the dash, and I'm like, that doesn't make no sense at all. But sure enough, that's what we're going to do. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is orient ourselves. We got the steering wheel here, and this has got a center console, what they call a super console, and I'm going to open up this compartment here, and down inside there's a little tab that you can see, and I can grab hold of that tab and lift up this this mat, and you can see down in there I've got some wet wipes in there. That's because there's storage. There's a storage compartment here in the back. So to get my wet wipes out of the way, I have to lift this up, pull this storage back, and then now I can see down that hole and see that there's a nut down there. And so I'm going to need to put that tool down in there and turn that nut so that it lowers my tire. Alright, so as you might have been able to tell from that last video, that nut, there's a square nut on there. Okay, and this thing here, these things here, they're both identical. They're square on one side, you got this fitting on the other side. Okay, so it doesn't matter which way you put these together, but you're just going to slide your square end. You're just going to slide your square end over the top of that end. This end here is going to fit on there like that, and then you're going to insert that whole thing down into that hole to where this goes over the square nut that's down there, and you're going to turn it and lower your tire out. All right, so we're going to take our tool, insert it in that hole, line it up on the square part, and then we're going to turn it. Now this actually has some stuff on the top that tells you which way to turn it to lower it, but it's the same as everything else, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So to lower it, we're going to turn it left ways or counterclockwise. Alright, so this is going to come out from underneath the bottom of the van, so I'm going to put the camera there, and hopefully we got it centered where it's going to come out at, and you'll see it come down. Now, once it's come down, you're going to need to keep loosening it because it's on the cable, and you're going to need to grab that and pull it out. So you have to keep loosening it until it's all the way loose. Can't turn it anymore. Alright, so on the end of our lug nut tool here, you'll see it's got a hook. So I can use that hook to reach in and grab that tire and pull it out. And I'm telling you, when you loosen that thing all the way up, it's a lot of turns, a lot more turns than it is to lower the tire. So you want to just keep cranking on that. It takes forever. Alright, so as you can see, our cable's still attached here. So we're going to have to disconnect this. So if you look over here, you flip it over, look on this side, you'll see that there's these cams that are keeping this thing in place. So basically what you want to do is you want to push that cable in, push these down, and then you can slide that out. So once you got that out, you can lift the tire up. You can lift the tire up and pop it out of the casing there. So this is going to be our spare. Alright, so now that I've got the spare out, I know I'm not going to be putting the flat tire back in there because number one, I want to have it out to go get it repaired, and number two, it won't fit because it's a different size rim. So before I do anything else, I want to put this back up because I don't want to toss it up underneath there, maybe forget about it, try to drive off and damage the underside of my vehicle. So I'm going to put this back up before I do anything else. So to do that, I'm just going to take my thing here and I'm going to push it back through. My arms pop back out there, and then I got to do is get in the vehicle and crank it back up. Alright, I'm going to visually check, make sure it went back into place, and it did. So now it's time to take the old tire off. Alright, so now is the point in time where if you have like a floor jack like this thing right here, or a pneumatic wrench, air wrench, you can save yourself some time. But I said I was going to do this like we were on the side of the road, so we're going to do it just with the tools from the van. So we'll jack this up and then take the tire off. So this is going to go this way. To the right, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and just want to start lifting this. Now, you might be tempted to take this off and turn around this way and put it on and do that again, which you could do if you wanted to, but this pivots, and so it makes it easy. Get over here, pivot it back, and save you a lot of time. Now, the other thing to notice is, as we're jacking this, we're jacking the chassis of the van. So this is going to increase because there's travel. There's travel in the suspension parts. We're not jacking from the suspension. We're jacking the chassis of the van. So that means we got to do a lot of turning before the wheel starts coming up off the ground. The other thing you want to make sure you do is don't go sticking your legs or something underneath the van while we got it on the jack. I'm old, I'm fat, I'm stupid, but even I know not to put body parts underneath the van while it's jacked up. So don't do that. Alright, so you can see there's quite a bit of play in the suspension. We got to get the chassis jacked up far enough to where all the play is out of the suspension and the wheel actually starts coming up off the ground, which it's just starting to do. Now, if I was going to put another tire on this right away, I'd have to make sure that I jack this up further than just the wheel being up off the ground like it is now, because it's flat and a full tire is going to be bigger. And I'm going to jack this up a little ways because otherwise, if it's too close to the ground, it's hard to slide off. But this should be good. Now, if I'm lucky, my lug nuts, they're not too tight, and I can just use this like a giant screwdriver and just take them right off. So these are not very corroded, and they'll spin right off. Now, if you're on the side of the road, make sure you don't just toss these in the grass, because you're going to need them later. Back in the old days, tires had hubcaps, and that's where you put your lug nuts when you had to change the tire. Cars ain't got hubcaps no more. Alright, so take the tire off, and then we'll put the spare on. Hopefully this is jacked up far enough. And it is not. Alright, so we're back to jacking this up a little bit. You can see the stud's almost coming through, but not enough to fall on there all the way. And there it goes. Almost there. Now, I like to put the lug nut on here as soon as I can. That way, if the van were to fall off, at least it's got something to keep it from going clear to the ground on the chassis and the frame and everything. Now, if you got a 4-way lug wrench, say you just put that on there and you take the sides and you go like this, and that will actually tighten the screw, because the tire's turning, but the lug wrench isn't, and so it actually tightens it around, and eventually gets to a point where it catches and is tight. Alright, so at this point you can try to tighten your lug wrench or your lug nuts, but your tire's just going to turn. So you're going to need to lower your jack a little bit, tighten them. So to loosen it or lower, you're going to go left. Alright, tires on the ground. Means we can tighten these. Righty tighty. And then lower the jack the rest of the way so we can drive it. Alright, there we go. Alright, so that pretty much finishes that job. Now, I've got a tire repair kit around here somewhere, so I want to see if I can actually fix this tire. But that'll be another video.